All right, welcome everyone to another edition of the Story Trading VIP Weekly Meetup. We got a packed schedule tonight, so we're going to move quickly. First, a little overview of what we do. Story Trading is an investor network where we aim to beat Wall Street insiders at their own game through crowdsourced collaboration, which helps you get an understanding of the story behind the trade. And we also give you access to management and other VIP presentations through our VIP program. We do have an upcoming app in development, which will make it even easier to do all of this. So stay tuned to learn how to be first in line to get into that invite. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to do a quick performance review of our past featured presentations. I had to flip the order of the presentations around real quick because Dan has to get out of here. So we'll go quick with Dan, and then we'll go to Aaron's pick. He's brought a CEO on for his pick tonight, so that should be interesting. We'll go over the schedule, and then we'll get into trade of the week. So real quick, featured presentations, the performance, you can hop over to our website at any time, click the performance tab. If you do that, here it is. You can see how people are performing. I'm just going to point out real quick, there's a tab here, return by presenter. And you can see actually Dan Carlson is at a 100% average across his 3 picks over 159 days. That's 232% annualized. And Aaron Warwick is 72%, but that's across 5 picks, fewer days. If you analyze that, that's 263%. So interesting data to look at. All right. And with that, before we turn it over to Dan for the first presentation, just want to go over a quick disclaimer. Story Trading is not an investment advisor. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. And we are recording this presentation. VIP presentations go under a 7-day embargo. We provide the recording for VIP members for the next 7 days. And then after that, we'll be posting it on YouTube. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Dan for his newest pick.
All right, guys, thank you for having me on again. Excited to be here, appreciate it. So my newest pick is actually a pick that I was very hot on for a couple of years and gave up on not because of anything to do with the products that they're developing. It's a medical device company, but the fact that they were chronically underfunded and just could not manage to get a deal done with quality investors of enough size to sort of bottom the stock out and get it moving in the right direction. That all changed about 2 weeks ago when they basically recapped the company at a $15 million pre-money valuation. They raised $40 million with some warrants that will bring in an additional 20 eventually, I believe. So basically the company's been recapped at the $7 per share level. So it's really, in my opinion, a totally different investment from the investment side. The product side hasn't changed. And can I share my screen? Is that possible? Ben?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, here we go. So, yeah, so did that work?
It's come, yep, there it is.
Okay, so good. So basically they have 2 products in development. One is called the Vino Valve. It's to replace valves in your leg that have failed, which cause you to have bad circulation, have you basically getting blood pooling in your feet. It's the reason a lot of people wear pressure socks, told to elevate their legs, and it causes you to not heal properly if you have wounds. It can lead to gangrene, stuff like that. I think the market size is very large. They say 2.4 million patients can use this. That's not a per annum number. So you got to think it's probably a couple 100,000 per year in the US that would take this. The thing that's exciting about this for both products, everything has been excellent on the science side, and there are 0 approved products in the market. So right now, the Vino Valve, if it were approved, would be competing against pressure socks. So there's really nothing out there for these patients. So if you skip to, I'm just skipping down here at slide 17. This is what they had in their first trial, which they ran down in, actually down in Colombia with a Hopkins trained physician. And if you can see the improvement that all these patients showed on 3 different levels, the 3 levels that you'd measure, including pain, and then more objective measures of blood flow, et cetera. the product has yet to really fail with any patient. It's been doing incredibly well. So it's exciting in that sense. And the physician that is developing this, by the way, I've met in person and spoken with many times, and I think he's probably a world-class mind. He has developed products in the past and sold them to major, larger medical device companies. So he's been there before and done it before. The Vino Valve, the milestones coming up, and this is what's exciting. So they recapped the company about 3 weeks ago. If you see in Q1 here, they're going to, so it's any day now, basically, they're going to file their application for a pivotal trial here in the US. The FDA had a pre-meeting with them. It went incredibly well. They've been told that this a 6-month trial will work based on the fact that the data they presented to the FDA from the original trial was so strong. So you're looking at, I think this is a conservative timeline, but basically they've got 17 sites already lined up, which is a lot. I think they can get through this trial pretty quickly and be filing sometime next year for the for approval, which would give, you know, probably early 2023, maybe sooner approval. With medical devices, this company doesn't intend to take it to the market. So with medical devices, you basically get interest from acquirers after you start showing data from a pivotal trial. So end of this year, they could have some data start coming out, maybe early next year. That would be enough to spark interest in the product being acquired. So that's the Vino Valve. And then just the other product is called a choreograph. It's basically an artificial graft that's from a pig that will be used in open heart surgery. It's called CABG surgery, which is coronary artery bypass graft. There are, back to the original slide, I showed about 200,000 potential surgeries per year in the US. If you put like a $10,000 tag on it, it's a, you know, multi-billion-dollar potential market. Right now, the standard of care is they harvest a saphenous vein from basically from your thigh region, and they use that vein that they harvest to make the bypass for your heart. So it involves not only does it involve 2 surgeries, which if you were to use a graft, you could eliminate one, which would be a major medical savings, but it's also a misfit size. So you do have good graft hosts because it's from your own body, but the mismatched size actually causes a lot of collusion, which basically means that it clogs. And 40% of all bypass grafts actually clog within the first couple of days. A lot of them even clogging before they leave the intensive care unit after surgery. So this, once again, you're looking at a market with no approved products in it, and they are in man with trials. This is taking place in Panama. Once again, they're doing it with a good doctor outside the US to save money. And you're going to see results from that trial starting next quarter. So the thesis here, let me get into the negatives real quick, if I might, which is, I don't like the CEO. He's not well regarded by Wall Street. He's proven himself kind of incapable of raising money without diluting the hell out of the company. He's done that pretty consistently in the past. So why am I investing in it now? Well, quite frankly, he recapped it so much and raised enough money to last them like 3 years. It kind of takes away the damage that he can do, and it puts the future of the company, at least from an investment standpoint, over the next 6, 12, 18 months, firmly in the hands of their chief scientist, who I've mentioned I love. So you look at it from that standpoint, it's fully funded. It's got major catalysts coming up with the filing of a IDE, which is an investigational device exemption. So then going into patients on the Vino Valve, plus you have your first human data coming out on the choreograph, and that's all happening, you know, over the course of next week, probably, on the filing of the IDE, and next couple of months on the other data. So I think the current market cap is around 70 odd million, maybe a little bit less than that. and there are a lot of warrants that are ridiculously high out of the market. There's a bunch from the last deal, but I think the overhang from the deal has pretty much been eaten up. So I think from a risk reward standpoint, I think the floor is 7 where the deal was done. If you didn't sell before the deal, why would you sell after? And the upside on this is a 3 to 5 bagger over the next 12 to 18 months. So open up to questions if there are any.
Great, thank you, Dan, for that presentation. Rob, you there? Can you take some questions for us? I think there's a couple things in the chat room.
Yeah, no problem. So from Mark Gomes, what's their net cash and burn rate?
The net cash is about $40 million with a little bit more. So they had 5 million when they raised this 40. But they had to pay some fees, obviously. So around 40 million. The burn's been running about, I believe it's been about 3 million a quarter. It's going to step up with the trials coming together, obviously, but I don't think it'll go above, say, $5 million a quarter. So they have quite a few quarters of cash sitting on the books.
Sounds good. And then another from Mark, how many shares will be outstanding if all reasonably priced options and warrants get exercised?
I'm not sure the exact answer, but I will say the company that covers them, Wainwright, put out 15 million in their model for fully diluted in a couple of years. I think there was another financing involved with that, so it's below 15 million. Put it that way. I'd say it's probably more like 12 in my mind, around there.
Got it. And then if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand. Go down and click on participants in the middle of your screen, and then click on raise hand in the box that pops up, or you can post a question in the chat.
I'm going to jump in, Dan, if you don't mind giving a quick update on the 3 stocks you presented previously to Story Trading: INMB, TFFP, and Atom.
Sure.
With the recent market volatility, any advice for people?
Yeah, no, so I'm happy to, and I'd like to just add what's interesting, I think, about the platform I've developed, and I have my own chat room, which you're in, Ben, is that it's really a good sounding board for kind of group think on these ideas. Meaning, I put a lot of names in there, and a lot of people throw ideas in there, and there are some that are universally accepted and others that aren't. And when you look like Adamir, I think everybody owns that. TFFP, same thing, and Immune. But the reason I say this is because Hancock Jaffe, I think every single person has stepped up and bought some stock, and there's a lot of people who were hating on the CEO. So the fact of the matter is, I think that this universally liked ideas, and those tend to be the ones that work out the best. That's why I'm bringing it up. If an idea is not universally liked, it generally stinks, to be honest. And the ones that are universally loved have all performed well historically, with On Track being the first one, I think, that everyone loved, and we did well with that, obviously. But updates on the stock. So going alphabetically, Atomira, the stock made a huge move, obviously, on the back of their first joint development agreement. I took some off the table at higher prices, and I've started to nibble to bring it back to a larger position. The fact of the matter is, I think they'll have a couple more JDAs signed this year, and I think the stock will be a lot higher this year. It takes a long time for them to get these things signed up. And so you've kind of got a little air pocket waiting for the next joint development agreement. And I think they're going to start to snowball a little bit, but I don't know if it's next week or next month. But the sense I get is you've got some time, like 3 months or so before the next agreement signed, in my mind. But so I think this price, anything below 30, I'm starting to nibble and build the position back up. I took a lot off in the 40s. Immune is my favorite. Yeah, I spent 5 hours with the CFO a week ago, and the confidence. I didn't get any information that non-public, right? But the confidence coming out of this whole team, and it's just phenomenal. These guys really think they have a drug here that's a 10, 20 or larger $1 billion drug eventually. The data they have shown has all been phenomenal. It's early stage, but and you got to walk before you run, right? They are going to be reporting on Thursday, and they're going to have more data. If you look at cassava, I don't know if you guys saw that stock ran from like $8. It was 120 at one point. They just raised a couple $100 million, around 50, I believe. Which is well over $1 billion market cap. They reported data on like 18 patients, I think it was, with selective biomarkers. Immune has, in their trial, they're going to have, so the last report they had, they used 9 patients. They're going to report more data on Thursday. That's going to be at least 15, I think, full 18 patients. So similar number. They don't use selective biomarkers. They showed every biomarker that's out there, and they're across the board killing it. So I don't know why the market hasn't caught on to this yet, but I do know that it's a huge position for me personally, and I have incredible confidence that this thing's going to do very well. The only knock on it is that they're going to need to raise money at some point. Every biotech does. But you know, so what? They get 10, 20% dilution, and then it goes a hell of a lot higher. I think it's going to be a home run over the next 18 months. They're going to announce their phase 2 design very soon. They'll start that later this year. They're going to have phase 2 data by the end of next year completed. And, you know, Lilly went up 20 billion in market cap on phase 2 data that was kind of mediocre. Cassava went up a couple billion on data that I personally think is kind of sketchy. I've done some homework on that. We won't get into it, but I don't trust their data, and yet you get a huge move. So Immune's going to move at some point. I'm feeling great about it. And then finally, TFF, they're going to report in 2 weeks. They have a whole slew of catalysts coming up. They get data from their internal programs in Q1. I think you're going to get some data on one of the programs, and then Q2 you're going to get data on the other program. They've got a partnership with Felix Biotech that Felix is getting financed right now. When Felix is done being financed, they then pay an upfront fee. So that's a big catalyst when they start getting like a $10 million check from someone. They announced data on monoclonal antibody vaccines with the US Army, who's a leader in vaccines. And they've been publicly stating that they're expect to be in a phase 2 COVID vaccine. Well, we know Pfizer is a monoclonal antibody. Pfizer's announced that they're looking at lyophilization for a dry powder of their vaccine. It's public, their CEO's talked about this. I think there's a better than 50-50 chance that TFF announces sometime in the next couple of months that they're Pfizer's partner on the phase 2 vaccine. But even if they're not, you got more programs. Union on niclosamide is coming. So I think you got about 10 potential big to incredibly big catalysts before the end of Q2 coming on TFF. So I'm very enthusiastic about it. So I love them all. There you go.
All right, great. Thank you, Dan, so much for your time tonight. We did open by the way, Dan, where can people go to learn about the services you provide?
Yeah, so twresearchgroup.com is my website, and I put out a weekly newsletter, which is free, and you can subscribe for it. And yeah, and if you want to get into Slacker, you have to become a premium member, and then I'm hosting, calls with my management teams and have that as well, and that's $250 a year. I think it's probably money well spent. Most people think so. But yeah, Ben can get you in touch with me if you want to figure out more.
Great. Thank you again, Dan.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
You too. Take care. All right. We got the HJLI research group we opened up tonight, and I dropped that link into the VIP chat room. Hey, real quick, guys, before we go to our trade of the week, events coming up. Again, you can go to our website, click the events, and you'll see them right here. This Wednesday, it's actually going to be a free event. Jonah Lupton of Social Capital is going to be presenting at 4:30. Then we got Richard Chu with Digital Health Fix next Sunday. And Mark Gomes the Wednesday after that on asset allocation and portfolio management strategy. So all the registration links for these events are listed in the info section of our WhatsApp room. And with that, we're going to move over to Trade of the Week.